Hey, it's Kelly, and I just wanted to drop you a line. I'm so glad that you decided to take advantage of what is standing in the way of your next 50K. Hopefully, you've found a lot of value in that. I wanted to drop a few other things here to just give you a few tips. So, the one thing that I notice about small business owners is that we don't run our projects like projects. And so when we're thinking about launches, we're thinking about doing our conferences, we're talking about even just rolling out the next product or the next item, um, implementing a new system. We need to run all of those like a project. And so the 5 steps to running your project like a project is first, you want to make sure that you really vet the project that you're going to implement, right? So making sure that you understand if this project aligns with your strategy, if you have the budget and funding for it, and if it really should be a priority based on the plans that you put in place when you were doing your planning cycle. The next part of it is the actual planning piece. So once you've decided exactly what you are going to do in your project, now you or the project that you want to do, now you want to outline everything that has to happen in order for that project to be delivered, right? So from the time that you decide what the project is going to be, all the way through the steps of what needs to be done at what point. Do you need to get social media content created? Do you need to get marketing items created? Are you going to have to add team members? All of those things. Are you going to need help from different things? Do you need to secure a venue? Whatever your business is, what are all the steps that need to take place? And you do want to write those down. Well, I shouldn't say write those down. You want to put those in a template, something electronic that you can repeat that process and just kind of add to it as you refine your process and your project, right? So that's the second thing. The third step is you're actually designing what that solution would be. So if it's the product or the service, you're actually going through and developing what that looks like, all of the things. If you have to develop a book or a content or a worksheet, or if you're launching an actual product where maybe it's a hair care product, maybe it's a new menu item, maybe, depending on what your business is. For my coaches and my consultants, maybe it's your next signature program or your next event, but you want to sit down and figure out what does that look like, right? So you've determined that that's the actual project that you want to undertake. You've laid out all of your line items in your task to figure out exactly every step that you're going to need to take to make sure that this gets delivered appropriately. And now you're actually following that plan. You're starting to design what that service is going to look like, how is it going to appeal to the audience, the branding, all of that. You're designing all of that. So once you get through those 3 steps, then you're at the 4th step, which is you want to test it out. Always test. I cannot emphasize that enough. You always want to test your solution on somebody, a team member, a family friend, someone you can rely on to give you honest feedback, but they can actually step through the process. And I actually recommend that it's not a team member, because they're intimately involved in the process and they won't be able to find the holes that somebody outside of your business would be able to locate. So you want to test that out. And then you want to implement, right? So we're at release day, we're at implementation day, it's the event day, it's launch day, and we're launching, right? And hopefully, if you've done all of your planning and you've done all of your designing, your testing, most of your implementation will go off without a hitch. Of course, nothing's foolproof, right? So there may be some glitches, but overall, you will have a good implementation. And so the final step in implementing your project is the project closeout. People forget about this. They sleep on this step. You finish rolling out, and then you move on to the next thing. But no, you're gonna want to do your project closeout. And what is it? And what does that entail? Well, that is looking at the things that didn't work, so that you make sure you don't repeat those in the next time you do it. You look at the things that worked really great, and you probably need to step up your game there. You look at the things that you might have missed, and so you want to make sure you fold those back into your project templates or fold those back into your processes. The project closeout is also when you want to make sure you update all of your documentation. So if you had to implement any new policies, if you had to change your policies, if you had to update a process, or maybe you added a new process, this is the time that you want to make sure that documentation is updated, so that the next time you go through an implementation, you will have all of those things in place, and you will have a better implementation and release, right? And so again, as you walk through getting your project stood up, which is actually one of the quickest ways that you can find additional money, is implementing your projects more efficiently and more effectively. It allows you to spend more time on serving your customers. It also allows you to reduce costs, because you're not doing rework. You have a repeatable process every time, and you're able to fold in your lessons that you've learned along the way to make things better, and better. So what initially might have taken you 3 months to roll out, eventually will take you about 6 weeks to roll out. You may even be able to get it to lower than that, depending on what your particular project is. But the key is that you get efficiency by going through these steps. So again, step 1 is identifying the priority projects. Step 2 is planning the project out, listing your task lines, and what all has to be done. Step 3 is to actually design the product, service, whatever you're delivering, the system. You design all of that. Step 4 is then we're going to test it. Remember, I said don't forget that step. Step 5 is your actual implementation, and step 6 is the project closeout. So again, I'm Kellye Franklin. I'm your operations and planning consultant, and it's time for you to level up your business operations.